Hey everyone, Mr. MC here. Welcome to the 2021-2022 FIA Nations Cup exhibition season, and this first round is at Route X. Oh boy. And I'm going to do things a little differently this time. I'm not going to do the lap guide because you pretty much just go in a straight line and then make a very slight turn on the bank turns. So we'll just skip on over to the qualifying session where you have 9 minutes to try to get the best qualifying time possible, and you're definitely going to want to have a little slipstream train going, so hopefully you can try to communicate with others or just get yourself into a pack of cars, stay right behind whoever you're getting the slipstream from to try to get the best qualifying time possible. And that's kind of it, really. You only have one chance, so you better make it count, although it is a bit of a lottery about who gets the best qualifying time. And in terms of the race strategies, we are doing 2 laps at Route X with select N400 cars, and there is an N300 car hanging around for some weird reason. And if you remember the Route X race that we had a couple months ago, it's very similar to that, although there are a couple key differences, and I'll tell you that in a bit. But pretty much stay in the slipstream, especially with the slipstream now being set to real. The last time it was set to weak, which is actually really strong. So your slipstream range is not 2.5 seconds anymore. It is now 3/4 of a second. So acceleration is going to play an even more important role to try to keep up with those in front of you, because if your car has terrible acceleration, you're going to get left behind. And you're going to want to have the radar on. So as you see on the bottom right hand corner of the screen, as someone just died right there, press the left or the right so you can eventually bring the multi-function display over to radar, so you can have an idea of where everyone is around you, so you don't merge into anyone and cause the big one. And yeah, it's all about just waiting until you reach the end of the second lap before you start to make your moves. Try to be careful because a lot of incidents can happen. As you see right here, people started merging into each other, and then the big one kind of just ended up happening. So you want to try to hopefully survive that. Hopefully it doesn't happen in your race. There's a lot of teamwork going on, and you guys kind of just wait until you backstep each other at the very end of the race as people are dying left and right. And yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it. So there are a couple of differences. I think I've already mentioned it. Slipstream is now unreal, so slipstream is now 3/4 of a second instead of 2.5 seconds like it was in the last Route X race. A lot of the cars that are being used here have had their tunes changed from last time, so I had to test these cars out to kind of figure out where they are within the rankings. And how I did the rankings, I went by how fast they can go under the slipstream, so the faster they can go, the higher up they're ranked. And if any cars are tied, then I looked at how fast it took them to get to 300 kilometers per hour, which is around 186 miles per hour. And before I forget, I did make a chart detailing all 26 cars, so I noted how fast they were able to go under the slipstream, how fast they were going at the end of the first straight, how long it took them to go to 200 and 300 kilometers per hour from the very start of the race. And if you want to see this in better detail, since the video doesn't do it justice, you can click on the link down below. It'll take you to the Google Sheets page that has this, and I also have a link on Twitter if you want to check it out there as well. And to do this testing, I had a volunteer help me out with the slipstream, so these cars were tested under the slipstream at all times, and this is pretty much a good way to find out how fast a car can go, how fast a car can accelerate, especially because acceleration is important for this race as slipstream is now unreal. So it's going to be a bit harder to get away with a car that is not as good on acceleration as last time. So I test their top speed, and then I test how fast they're going at the very end of the straight just before the bank turn starts, and that's pretty much the whole gist of the testing session. So as you saw right now, the 88 Supra is an N300 car. Definitely don't use that car. The 1997 Toyota Supra, which is the top car for the time trial, not that good when it comes to the actual race. Its acceleration is really slow, and its top speed under the slipstream is not that high, clocking in at around 338 kilometers per hour. And I am going to cut things down quite a bit because there's 26 cars I had to test. So I want to show right here this list of cars that are too slow. So if a car is listed here, it's not going to be that competitive in the race. So you're pretty much not going to want to choose them. One interesting thing is that the Grady Fuguzi was actually one of the top cars from the last Route X race. And I'm going to say part of it is because of the real slipstream, and part of it is because it had its tune change where it kind of just fell off big time. It still has that really good acceleration, but it struggles to reach that higher top speed. So while it's great on acceleration, it's one of the faster accelerating cars, reaching 300 kilometers per hour at 35 seconds. But its top speed is not all there, so it's going to be a bit of a problem, especially after you deal with the hills and the bank turns. And we're just going to quickly go through some of these top cars. The Ferrari is an interesting car, one of the faster accelerating cars, so that might be an off-meta choice. So you might see some people trying to make that car work. The Mazda RX-7 has really poor acceleration, but it is the best when it comes to maintaining speed. Barely lost a kilometer per hour after the hill, so that could be a good car along with the Jaguar E-Type, but both cars really slow acceleration, so you need to qualify at the very front if you want to make those cars work. Otherwise, you will get left behind. The Mustang Mach-1 and the Toyota Crown, they're alright, but there are better choices out there, so I'm not going to suggest picking them. Along with the Corvette C3, interesting car that made its way up to top 4, but once again, there are better cars out there. And the Porsche 993 is now in 3rd place. It's one of the better cars in this race, almost as good as it was last time, although it is a little bit slower, but it still has the best acceleration out of all 26 cars. So you will see some people picking this car. The Volkswagen Golf, which is going to be the grocery getter gang, the second best car. It has really good acceleration, especially in the first 4 gears. That's where all of its acceleration is. And it reaches 343 kilometers per hour, so around 213 miles per hour under the slipstream. So it's one of the better cars. It's especially stable, so if you get bumped around, there is less of a risk of getting spun out. But the best car is going to be the Renault Megane Trophy. So this is part of the grocery getter gang as well. Really good acceleration, a bit better than that of the Volkswagen Golf. So these two cars are going to be some of the top choices. The Porsche 993, I think it'll be a top choice as well, except that car is a bit fragile, really easy to spin out in it, especially if you get hit. The front-wheel drive cars, so the Megane and the Volkswagen Golf, not as much. They're a bit sturdier, so you will be a bit safer in these cars. So there are a couple choices out there for the Route X race, but for me, I'm picking the Golf as it saved my butt in the last race. But anyways, that's it for this meme of a race guide. I'd like to thank Sikkim and DevSun for helping me out in making this guide and basically just suffering with me. But thank you to all of you who watched this video supporting the channel. Thank you to Placey for supporting the channel as well. But yeah, that's all from me. This is Mr. MCA wishing you a good race, and I'll see you in the next video.